And we're back. We're live. It's Sunday night, slightly earlier this week than normal, and it's the red, white, and blue football therapy session. I'm John, and I'm joined as always by Charlie and Stephen. Fresh off Liverpool's wonderful home victory of the weekend. Loads of football, loads of football to talk about. And I've got to say, I don't actually think there was an awful lot of shocks, which is actually really good for a change. We normally come on and find that there's all kinds of shocks and stuff. But this weekend, actually, I think went with the form book. Unless you're a Newcastle or a Wolves fan, or a Man United fan, or a whatever fan. There's loads of good football to talk about in the next hour. Are you both all right, guys?
I'm good, John. Good.
Yeah. Well, yes.
I'm happy with the start of the season. Let's put it that way.
You can't complain. 6 points from 2 games.
Yeah.
Unless, and also, I think I put it out there now. Brighton have got 6 points from 2 games as well. And I think that's for a team that you have both got to finish in the bottom 3. I was rubbing my hands. I'm going to say, I thought, there we go. That could be one that's going to sort of pop up as the season goes along. Yeah. And I don't know about you guys. I desperately want to start with the Arsenal-Chelsea game because it was one of those games this weekend that I really was looking forward to seeing, just whether Arsenal would get a bounce from having a crowd back at the Emirates, and just whether they'd respond to it. And actually, I felt they did to an extent, because I think they did quite well to keep Chelsea just to the 2 goals. And I was just picked me stood up from work, and I was trying to explain to him, it looks as if Chelsea didn't even get out of first gear. They were just playing for fun, and they were just trying to make sure that Lukaku scored. But Arsenal just looked so short. I know I said it last week, but they look really, really short. They look short of confidence, they look short of ideas, and they look short of creativity up front. And I don't really know where they're going. I really don't.
They're going to the bottom half of the table. That's where they're going.
second from bottom tonight. So
who's bottom? Who's sat at
Norwich. Thanks to your team.
And City 5 today. Yeah. Wow.
But whilst we're on the subject, Arsenal on Wednesday night are playing in the League Cup away to West Brom, which West Brom have made a really good start to life in the Championship League. Yeah. But next Saturday, they're away at Man City.
So games then next week, John, because you got Liverpool, Chelsea next week.
I know. I'm looking forward to that one too, because I've got to say I was quite, in a way, I was disappointed with Chelsea today, because actually I felt they didn't stamp their authority on the game in the way that I was expecting them to. Whether or not that was just because they were trying to figure a way of getting Lukaku into the team or not, I don't know. But certainly, I didn't think there was the fluidity there that certainly saw last week from them. But it's just one of them ones that you go away to Arsenal, you'll take 3 points, and they just look so good. It's just they brought Kante on as a sub halfway through the second half, and it just you're just thinking, that's just crazy. You're just looking at the strength they've got. It's just incredible.
I have to say, I'm not a big Lukaku fan. All right, and what I saw today, I see him. He's one of those big fellas up front that likes to hold off and get the ball and then make the move.
Yeah.
But today I saw a lot of him whining that they weren't feeding him like every single ball to him. You'd see him put his hands down in frustration, like, you could have gave me the ball. And it's just like, shut up and play the team. Get in there and you'll get the ball enough times. You just gotta.
I think he's got something to learn there, Charlie. I think, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But I must say, he looks half the player that he used to be when he played for Everton and Man United. He looks totally fit.
He did trim down.
He's lost a load of weight, and actually, I think I know I said last week about how much I fancy Chelsea to win the league, but if you think about it, this is another example of Chelsea selling a player who goes elsewhere, makes it absolutely massive. You know, you could probably name probably a 1 to 11
Salah
Salah in particular, of players that Chelsea have had. They've let go and they've been a massive success elsewhere. And, you know, to pay the type of money for Lukaku to come back again, it's up right up there with getting Pogba back, isn't it? If you're Man United. So, and again, for me, the man who was responsible for letting him go in the first place was our good friend Jose Mourinho. which is quite uncanny, really, since he was the one who paid so much money to get Pogba back at Man United.
I know.
So it's bizarre. I was listening to something on the radio, and they were talking about the fact that it was his second Chelsea debut, and some guy had done their homework on the radio. Thankfully, I didn't do my homework. I just blatantly nicked this stat off them. But he missed a penalty in a penalty shootout. Playing in I think it was a League Cup tie, and after that, Mourinho decided that was it. He was out of the club, and I thought, do you know something? That just sums up how petty Mourinho is, and he could have saved Chelsea a whole lot of money. You imagine Lukaku and Salah playing in the same team. If you'd have brought those two through, they would have been fabulous.
Imagine if they kept De Bruyne as well, though, John.
That's another one, isn't it?
You gotta wonder though, if they weren't let go, would they have gotten that passion to become better players? And would they be who they are today without that that little smackdown?
Yeah. You talk about I've been rejected and now I need to pick my game up and go again. It's one that you'd never know, would you? Because that's not a path that went down, but it's a possibility.
I think as well, that's a really good call, though, Charlie, because actually that's the one thing where I think Chelsea have improved in probably the past 3 or 4 years of bringing some of these young lads through. Yes, they send them out on loan, but they're actually making it into the first team. And previously, they'd been so poor and so wasteful of so much of that talent. And I really feel that, I don't think they'd have made a go at Salah. I don't think they'd have made a go with Lukaku, and certainly not with De Bruyne. And I think what would have probably happened is they've just been run of the mill. And you look at how much Lukaku has come on as a player, rather than just being that big target man. He's been a much, much better player since he's been in Italy. Better technically, better physically, and I think he's just. I don't know. It just seems something different, and I watched him for Everton for a long time, and
it's I think how different leagues do help.
With
different techniques and different styles, right?
Yeah.
When he played for Everton, every player should play in a different league at some point. It
would benefit him immensely. He played for Everton. Lukaku, the ball went into him. And it was so frustrating because it would either require 4 touches, or the ball would just bounce off him, and it'd just be wasted. And you're just thinking, well, where do you go from there? Yeah, well, yeah, that's the other one, isn't it? Goodness. But yeah, I'm really fearful for Arsenal, and I know it's only 2 games in. They need to pick some results up from somewhere, and I can't see them getting it next week at Man City. I really can't.
In what week do they bring in Lampard to replace Arteta at Arsenal?
Fat Sam. This is the Fat Sam panic button.
It's definitely Fat Sam. Hey, Sarah, okay?
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, definitely the Fat Sam. Two losses in 2 games. I know one of them's against the definitely one of the title challenges this year. But even so, I didn't get to watch the game, I'll confess, because I was traveling from Liverpool back up to Cumbria while it was getting played. But, the result is not a good one, The fact that they kept them to 2-0 is probably saying Arsenal done something right.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised at that. I thought they could have just totally got rolled over, and they didn't. They actually put some form of sort of defense up in the second half. What was funny? The keeper made an absolutely immense save as well. I've got to take my hat off to him because I don't rate him very highly. Was it Leno? And he did. He made a marvelous save from Lukaku, which could have made it 3. But I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'll put it that way.
It's like after a while watching so many games on a weekend, they all start to blend together. But I believe Arsenal did have shots on net that they just kept on putting over by like 2 feet. You know, it was they had a lot of shots putting over the net. It's like just get them down and they'd be in the game. You know.
Yeah, they also made the Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy work a bit. You know, there was a couple of times where you're thinking he was under pressure, but they fought it off. But it's an interesting one. You know, again, Arsenal only had 35% possession, 6 shots of which 3 were on target. You know, against Chelsea's 22 shots, which is just like, although they only had 5 on target, which is a bit of an odd one. But I don't think Arsenal fans are happy. I've had a look on socials. I don't know.
Arsenal fans are never happy.
They're not, but it was only half-hearted booing at half-time and full-time. You know, if you're gonna go and criticise your team, go and do it properly. But none of this sort of boo down with this kind of thing. It was just they were too polite. It was just like if you're gonna throw pelters at Arteta or whatever, let's get that out straight away. So,
do you know what, football fans, we are all fickle. We are
a
bunch of people going.
Yeah.
But I think Arsenal fans are probably the most fickle you'll see, because I find them entertaining. They're great. They're great to watch. Yeah.
I think Jonathan Pearce from the radio is a wonderful quote from him, as a wonderful bit of English alliteration, where he describes the fickle finger of footballing fortune. And I just say it always struck me as just one of those lovely lines that a commentator comes out with. And I think at the time he was talking about Newcastle. But I think it's at this point Arsenal are the ones. It's that fickle finger of fortune that's really costing them, and they either need to buy big in the last week of the transfer window, or they're going to have to try to turn around something with their squad, because they just look as if they don't want to play there, they don't want to be there, and I fear for Arteta in a way, and I like Arteta, but
yeah. It's just, we were talking about it last week, weren't we? He doesn't play to his players' strengths. He doesn't. Yeah. He's trying to play a system that his players don't fit in.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's done today. Like I said, I didn't see it today. I'm just going off last week's conversation. I don't know what it's improved any, but I would imagine it hasn't. He needs to start going, and he needs to go back to basics. If he wants to keep on to his job, he needs to go back to basics and start going, right, let's stop trying to play the way I want to play. Let's start trying to play that we have to play. Get the best out of his players, you know. And if he does that, he'll get some form of success, and he might get some respect out of the players as well for doing it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because if the players aren't playing for it, they're not playing for it because they don't feel like they're suited to the system that they're doing, or there's something wrong going on there. There's got to be, because he's been in there now. And when did he get appointed? Is it last season he got appointed? Or was it the season before?
Well, I think it was the season. Was it someone before? I don't know.
You know, he hasn't got the kind of money that City and PSG have got to go and spend to go and get the players in that he needs in like 1 or 2 windows. So he needs to play to the players' strengths until he gets through about 6 or 7 transfer windows and changes the system as it goes along. But I think that's going to get through it.
Yeah, I think that's the really important bit here, because he came in December 19, and I think the club have not moved on really as a club since Wenger left. No. And you go back, it was the Arsenal fans that did for Wenger, and it was the board really should have got rid way before. They'd left it too long there, so the rot had set in probably 3-4 seasons before Wenger actually went. And I still get great joy of watching Villarreal from Spain, where Unai Emery, who was vilified as an Arsenal manager, he lasted what, 18 months or 16 months, something like that. But just wasn't deemed as being the man.
Right. It's mad, isn't it? And do you know there's parallels between Arsenal and Man United here? Because his headphones has gone.
Technical difficulties here.
John get his thing. I'll forget what I was saying by the time he gets his earphones.
Fire the audio crew.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But you're right, though. They should be playing the system to the players that they have, and eventually, if you want to get to a certain place, you gotta hire those players to fit the system that you want. But you have to have the buy-in from the top. If they're not supporting you, you're good as dead as a manager.
No, definitely. Are you back with us, John? No, he's not back with us yet.
Nope. He's got his buds in a tangled mess too.
He's just jumped off. Anyway, we'll carry on because what I was going to say there, Charlie, I can see parallels between Arsenal and Man United in terms of when Alex Ferguson left Man United, he won the title in 2013. But I still to this day say that's the worst team that's ever won the league. Because Alex Ferguson was that good of a manager that he could have picked 11 players up off the street and trained them and got them to win that Premier League. He was just that good. So when David Moyes took over, he took over a team that was nowhere near good enough to keep up to them heights. And because David Moyes is not a Alex Ferguson, it just failed on him. And it's the same with Arsene Wenger. He was getting them into the Champions League all the time.
Yeah.
That's the best he could get out of them, was get them in the Champions League. But that team as well was not good enough to get into the top four all the time. It was because Arsene Wenger was that good of a manager. And it's when you lose that type of manager and then you try and bring someone in. And then what people are expecting is it to just go straight back to the way it was when it was all the good times, and you've got to have that transition from going from one manager to the other. But also, when you lose someone like Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, there's going to be a drop of quality somewhere. There's got to be, because those two managers achieved a lot in their careers, and an awful lot. And arguably they had the biggest rivalry through the 90s and early noughties in the Premier League, Arsenal and Man United. So if you're going to have that, it's just going to have a big impact on us, isn't it? There, well, on them. Do you know what I mean? But Arsenal, like I said, didn't see the game today. 2 results down, second bottom, only by the grace of goal difference. So we'll see where they go.
Arsenal. I did see the game, parts of it, most of it, anyways. They were just outclassed by Chelsea. Chelsea wanted it more. Again, they have hungry players. Even they only put Kane in for the last 20 minutes. I mean, Kane. Talking about a different game now. But hey, there he is.
There you go. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened there. No idea.
Oh,
Gremlins again.
that was my fault.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry,
I've just
guys.
learned that the space bar kicks people out. Right.
All right.
I don't know whether you heard what I said there, John. I was just saying to Charlie then while you were having your little technical issue.
No, I didn't hear anything.
So I see similarities between like Man United and Arsenal. Like so when Ferguson left and when Arsene Wenger left.
Yeah.
So those two managers were really good managers. So they like Arsene Wenger was always getting Arsenal into the top four with a very poor team. And then I argue that the worst team to win the Premier League was Alex Ferguson's last team in 2000.
Oh yeah, too right. Yeah.
But Alex Ferguson could pick 11 players up out the street, train them, and win that league with them. He was just that good of a manager.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone argues. Ardent Reddy. I couldn't argue with anyone who said that Alex Ferguson isn't one of the best managers of all time, because he is. So you had David Moyes come in with a really poor Man United team. You had who come in after Arsene Wenger? Who was the unlucky soul who took that one on? Was that Unai Emery?
I think it was Unai Emery.
Unai Emery come in with a poor Arsenal team, and everyone was thinking, like, no, you're going to get us into the top four now. Because they dropped out the top four, didn't they, with Arsene Wenger last season?
Yeah.
And they're just expecting this big change straight away. And, you know, when you lose two managers like Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, you're going to lose a bit of quality there. It's just going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So to expect a manager, even Unai Emery, who just won the UEFA Cup,
I think it was,
or something like that. He's going to have to take time. You know, there was the language barrier and everything like that. I don't think he's given enough time.
And he'd been at PSG. You know, he'd been at PSG for a couple of seasons, stuff like that. You know, he'd done well at Sevilla before that. You know, I still rate him. I think he's a fabulous manager. I think it's just, again, it comes back to that. It comes back to that thing that fans seem to think, well, press the panic button, well, everything changes, we'll get better. And actually it doesn't. And I think it's one of those ones, and certainly I know a lot of Everton fans would have changed managers, you know, previously, certainly before Allardyce turned up at our spot and stuff. But who realistically is going to improve a team? And if you need to let people come into your club, and actually you need time. And I think there's, you know, that's been proved. You know, it's been proved that if you give people time, and I really take my hat off to Norwich, right? Because they had a torrid time when they were last in the Premier League. They played brilliantly last season to get promoted, and once again they turn up in the Premier League. They've had a really tough start with Liverpool and City to begin with, and actually they remained true to the manager. They said, look, take us, you know, try and see if you can go again, rather than this getting relegated, getting rid, and then trying to start again. And I just feel that, you know, it's a lesson for a lot of big clubs, isn't it? You know, you've got to be careful what you wish for. Be careful for what happens next.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, certainly Everton were in that boat when Allardyce turned up, because we're still paying for some of the dross decisions that he made when he came to Goodison. And I, you know, I think I look at some of the players he brought in, and the money that he's wasted. You know, not just him. There's, you know, a couple of other clowns as well. You know, it's not good. And I think Arsenal are in that position where they've bought badly over a number of transfer windows, even when Wenger was there. You know, I think you could actually see the lad they just bought. The lad they just got from Real Madrid. He's just a typical Arsenal number 10. And I don't quite see them. They've got nothing different to offer. And I think that's quite a sad indictment as to possibly how they're going to go this season.
Well, you say the bad signings. I agree with you. They've had some bad signings, but you know it's been happening over a number of managers, over a number of different managers. You telling me all those managers are making bad decisions? Yeah. It's not. It's got to be someone else who's making a decision on which player they go for.
I think so.
And they're obviously not doing the job properly, and they need to go. You know, if anyone needs to go, it's the one who's selecting these players to bring into the team. The manager must go to him and say, I need the player to do this.
Yeah.
And then it's that person's job to go out and find that player and get them in. Yeah. You know, I have no problem with that kind of system, as long as you're getting what the manager's asking for.
Yeah.
No.
I'd agree. I don't know. I think it's, you know, time will tell, won't it? And I think in Arteta's case, you know, perhaps his start there, you know, I think his first season when he took over in December, he kind of rescued it a bit. They won the FA Cup. They then won the Community Shield. Did that maybe paper over some of the cracks that were there? And I honestly don't know. And he obviously wanted to take on Ozil, didn't he? And move Ozil on. They've got Lacazette, Aubameyang that just look as if they just take the money and just they don't turn up. It needs that clear out. Go on, Charlie. Sorry.
Do you guys know? Do the teams usually, especially the Premier League teams, you know, are they usually acting like on a united front, all the different parts of the team? Because you would think, okay, we're going to try out a new manager. You would think that the first thing they would be doing is getting press out there saying, hey, we got a new manager. He's going to start changing some things up. Give us a couple of years for it to work out. That way they're managing the expectation of their their fans saying, "Yo, let's not start jumping on such and such, and let's give this something."
I think as Moyes found at Man United, you don't have that luxury, and I think as well, and I think that is something that if you're deemed as being one of those so-called Big Six, or to be honest, top 8 club in the Premier League, you do not have the ability to lose games. And I think looking at the table tonight, there's a few that are going to be twitching. The new Wolves manager, he's only had 2 games. Bruno Lage or Lage, 2 games, 2 losses, and they actually didn't look too bad today. Wolves, I actually felt that they were quite unlucky in a way. They're just lacking a bit of a cutting edge up front.
They needed they need.
I
think they deserved a point.
Yeah,
I think they were. But I had another question: does Traore actually oil himself to make him slippery or something? That guy is shiny.
He is.
I think he's oiling himself down like a boxer so that people can't grab him right or something like that. But he had so many chances he blew today.
Yeah,
just him alone. I'm like, thank goodness. Don't bring him to Liverpool, man. I don't want him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's played well for about 18 months since a lot of big clubs started sniffing around, and I think they've taken a backward step as well. He seems to be a one-trick pony, and I think a lot of defenders basically know now how to play him. And I don't know, but yeah, Wolves. I don't know. Wolves and Tottenham was a half decent game today. It was.
I had Wolves down to struggle anyway this season.
Yeah.
They lost the manager. He's a good manager. Rate him highly. And I had Tottenham. I've got Tottenham to finish in the top 4 again because of Nuno. I just like his managerial skills. And he got another win today, Tottenham. There,
2-2, and I think our friend Nick's been very quiet. Yeah. Which says a lot.
I think today's game with Tottenham and Wolves, I thought actually Wolves were the better team. From what I was, I watched a lot of that game, and I saw a big hole in Tottenham. Just seemed like they were outnumbered a lot when the Wolves were on offense. Tottenham just didn't look like a covalent team. Is that what it's? I don't know, whatever it is. They didn't look like they had a systematic defense that was good enough, because Wolves had a lot of chances. I thought a lot of times they were a better team, and I thought they at least deserved the point. But again, it's the finishing. They need. I think it will come for Wolves. I'd be surprised if they get drawn into any form of sort of bigger issue. They just need some points on the board. I have them pretty low. I have them pretty low. I had them 15. I think but after today's game, I'm like, they're not hopeless.
Yeah,
but they need a finisher.
Yeah,
better than Traore.
They had nearly 60% of possession today, and I think that really for me against Spurs, who I really feel they've got the contender for the worst away kit of the season. And if anyone has a chance, just have a little dig on some of the photos of that game. That it's quite a hideous sort of spaceship, outer space kind of. It's hard to describe. And then they've stuck a Dayglow yellow number on the back, which just doesn't look right either. It's just.
So we've had the question: are we going to do a player manager of the season?
Oh.
At the end, probably a little early for that.
Yeah, I'm not going to predict it, because actually, I think we found before that what you normally find, and this is a really boring thing. It shows me age in a way, doesn't it? You start looking at stuff now at this early part of the season. You think, they're going to boss it. They're going to be the team. They're going to be the player. And actually, come Christmas, it's all changed. They've got off the boil altogether, and you get generally whoever starts the ground running January time right away through at the end of the season are the ones that they'll be the manager and the player of the season. And I just hope I think everybody just hopes it's someone in their team that decides that they're gonna be that person, isn't it? You know,
Jurgen Klopp for manager of the season, wins the Premier League and the European Cup.
yeah.
I just hope we haven't put the user on them now, basically. I was watching I didn't watch that game either, the Wolves one at Tottenham. I was watching the Man United game.
Yeah.
At that time, I thought.
Yeah.
I watched that game and I thought Southampton were lucky to get ahead because Man United were just absolutely bossing it. So, you know,
were they?
Yeah,
I didn't see them at Man United game.
I didn't either. I watched the other one.
It was like something like 60-odd, 70% possession for Man United. You know, they had 20-odd shots at goal, I think, in the first half alone.
Really?
Yeah. It was they really bossed it. But
I was interested. Yeah, I was interested in the team selection for United because did he start with Martial up front in the first half?
I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, I just felt it.
I can't remember if he started there, but some of the crosses coming in, they're getting a lot of set pieces.
Yeah,
United, they're getting a lot of set pieces and delivering a lot of good set pieces in to the box. So it was more Southampton's fault that this was happening because they just kept on giving set pieces in and around the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
But then they got the goal, which was a lucky goal because it deflected off.
I was off Fred, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fred own goal.
Yeah, it deflected off him, got in the goal, and then had to come out in the second half and
He did it on purpose. That's how good they are.
Do you know? Actually, I give Southampton the due, and I know United are there's probably a lot of United fans out there tonight, and they're thinking, "Oh, once again, this is proving our bogey away game."
Hang on a minute, John. You haven't got the best of it. While I was watching it, I was like doing little tweets for this match going on. I was having a look to see what's trending on Twitter, and as Man United are playing, Ollie out.
It always does.
We were talking about Arsenal are fickle. I was like, wow.
I don't get that because, again, I think it goes back to that same point. Who is going to come into United and improve what they've actually got? I really would struggle. I'd love any United fan to turn around and say which manager could come in and do any better with that group of players than Solskjaer, with a bit of meddling from Ferguson in the background, which is definitely at it. But I don't know. Just be careful what you wish for again, United fans, because they seem to have short memories. You know,
you're saying Ferguson doing things in the background.
Yeah,
there's other clubs that's done it in the past, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't think it was Kenny Dalglish that won that double, do you? Yeah. Bob Paisley was in the background doing it. It's happened before, so I'm sure it's happening now. And to be honest with you, if you've got Alex Ferguson there giving advice, why wouldn't you take it?
Wouldn't you just?
Yeah,
yeah. Give us your knowledge, mate. I need some help here. So he's probably getting Ollie through a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. You know? Hang on a minute. This week away that you've had this week, Stephen. You know, I know you've been on a lot of roller coasters and stuff like that, but that's at least 3 or 4 pro Man United comments you've had tonight.
I know.
Which is I think is totally unheard of. I think I'm going to make
the smile. It must have been the smiling on the most loops and turns in the world, and I was on it. Yes, it must have been that one.
I'm going to make a note of it.
It's like a 2-hour wait we went on, and it's like one of them rides that it's got the theme of it. It's like a space out kind of twirly circles and get you all hypnotized. It must have been Alex Ferguson.
Oh, wonderful! It's wrongly titled for the Smiler, isn't it? It's Ferguson.
Yeah,
that's it.
But it'll come.
No, I know it will. It's not like it. It's not like it. I put them on the top 4. Not them taking your place in the top 4. Can I just take my hat off again to Southampton today, because actually they stuck to a plan again with another manager who's under a little bit of pressure in Hassan Huttle. But I actually felt they did a decent job on United today, and I think for all Spurs away kit was bad. Have a look at what Ralph Hasenhüttl was wearing for the game. He was very dapper. Normally he turns up with a baseball cap and his training gear on. He decided to go full on Sunday best today. Nice waistcoat. He looked the part today. I think that's it. Wait for that next week. It worked this week for him, so he's obviously decided it's a good luck charm on a Sunday.
Yeah, and this just going back to United. So here's where I insult them now, because what this proves today is, even though they bossed it and they had the possession, most of the shots on target, the clinical, they're not being clinical in front of goal still.
Yeah,
right, enough. And also, what I found was once they'd been trying a few times, they lost that. They just ran out of ideas of what to do to break them down. Yeah, that'll be down to Southampton doing a good job on them at the back. Yeah. But also, if they are really wanting to go and challenge like Liverpool, Chelsea, and City for the title this season, they're going to have to start learning to break down teams who are being resilient like that, because that's what they're going to face. They're going to face that more this season than they did last season or the season before, because now they are being genuinely seen as a decent side. Whereas the last couple of seasons they've been seen as, no, they're the team of yesteryear kind of thing. But Ollie's come and done a good job and got the reputation back up a little bit. So they're going to get that. We're going to get teams just sitting back, and they're going to have to learn to break that.
And that's why I was concerned with meddling with the starting 11 and starting with Martial up front today. Seemed to me to be, in a way, a backward step for United, because I'm aware that they play to a system. They started with Fred and Matic today, and I still feel that was possibly where Southampton got as much of the players they possibly could. It just didn't seem to work, and Martial, obviously wanting to impress, didn't. But like you said, they didn't mix it up. And I think it was only when Sancho, I think Sancho came on, didn't he? And it was only at that point where you actually, he came on the hour mark for Martial. And then they changed both Fred and Matic. And I just thought, I don't know, you've got to be aware of what's your best 11. Chuck them out. Go and have an hour. And let's see if we can get 2-3 goals. But he left, was it Dan James on the bench? And I think Southampton would have actually been the type of team that Dan James could just run at and then actually cause a few problems and get that ball into the net. And I don't know. We'll wait and see. But I think that's 2 points wasted for United today. And but fair play to Southampton. Fair play to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 2 points wasted for Man United there, because, like I say, they bossed it. They should have had that in the bag.
Yeah.
By half time. The 3 points should have been in the bag by half time. It's as simple as that. They're not clinical enough, and they've just run out of ideas.
Yeah. Can I just jump on? I'm just aware time's flying tonight, which is always a bad sign when you've started an hour earlier and you don't want to go and be an hour too late. Your game yesterday, Burnley looked as if they were up for it for about 20 minutes.
He did, yeah.
And then just...
Well, Liverpool kicked in, didn't he? That's what happened.
Yeah.
Liverpool are looking solid. Liverpool are looking... You're seeing like your Man United last week winning by 5-1. You're seeing Man City this week win by 5-0. Yeah. Liverpool don't do that. We just haven't done that under Klopp. But what we do is we look solid. And I thought Liverpool looked really, really solid. Yeah. And what I'd also like to say is I was worried that we didn't make a midfield signing this summer and getting someone in extra, some fresh legs in there. And now I know why.
Harvey Elliott looked absolutely spot on.
Yeah. That's what I said. I'm thinking Liverpool's success lies in the midfield this year. I mean, they shored up they have defenders coming out the ears. Solid depth in the back four. Tsimikas is just, I think he's awesome. He's going to give Robertson a fight for a spot.
I was going to bring that point up as well. He was fantastic. As a fan of any football club, don't you just love it when one of your big names gets injured and then some lad turns up who you'd never heard of, and he puts in like that's 2 games where he's absolutely shown that he's quality, he can be trusted, and you're thinking, yes, we've got someone there that whenever Robertson needs a rest, they can come in and you can actually rotate the team.
All the clubs should be copying Klopp's academy stuff, because we have an academy to rely on. We have some depth in our academy, and like Fabinho was out. His father died, right? He was out. So Hendo was dropping into the defensive midfielder position, I believe, and he's not as good as Fabinho. I like Hendo on the left or on the right, wherever he usually is. He has more influence on the offense when he's on out to the sides instead of playing the defensive back midfielder. But I think our strongest midfield is Hendo, Elliott, and Fabinho. I think they're gonna light it up. I think they're a real solid team when all of our 3 midfielders they stay healthy, then we're in good shape this year.
Definitely. Definitely. I couldn't disagree with that. Because what Elliott's done in just one performance is he's gone, look, I was a kid when I was last year and I did a few cameo appearances, but I have been on loan now, and then look what I can do. And what can he do? He was
like a little Grealish, right? He's like a little speed. He's gonna be drawing fouls in the box, I think, in the future.
And going back to the other fella you said there, Tsimikas, he's done brilliant as well.
Yeah.
You lose your thing, we've lost Andy Robertson first game of the season. And then he comes in and does them 2 performances. You're thinking, oh, right, that's why Klopp didn't go into the market. Because he's got them coming through the academy. He's got them trained up and they're coming through and they're ready, which is great because you've got like so these 2 kids now, and I'm looking at these 2 kids in a completely different light now. I'm looking at them. Well, you're going to come on this stage and you're going to stay on this stage because Andy Robertson, as much as I love and how good he is, if Tsimikas keeps playing like this, how does he get back in the team?
Yeah, I know it. It's going to be trouble. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Can I also just make, as an Evertonian amongst the panel here, can I also mention just one of the highlights that I really found very, very touching at Anfield yesterday, and that was the tribute paid to Andrew Devine. Who was the 97th victim of the Hillsborough tragedy, and I really it once again sent shivers up my spine as just to how much a football club means to everybody, but to actually acknowledge Andrew Devine's passing in the way that they did was an absolute credit to Liverpool Football Club, and I really take my hat off to them. And I just thought, even when Henderson went and laid the wreath at the back of the goal at the Kop, I just felt what a fitting tribute for someone who's missed, who's obviously missed all of these years worth of, all the tributes that have been paid to the 96, but to now be 97, for that to be acknowledged the way it was class. And I really, as an Evertonian, I take my hat off to Liverpool for that.
And it's just a reminder of how much of a tragedy that was. Mm-hmm. If you think how long ago it was, you're adding another one to the list.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. And it's a bit like, while we're on the thing, it's a young Reece, 14 years ago today, tragically shot. And that was a good, both instances are brilliant examples of how the city of Liverpool put their football and rivalries aside and come together as one city and support each other. So young Reece, he was 14 years gone today, tragically taken. So I'm just thoughts with his family and friends as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna move us on, guys, because I'm aware we're gonna run out of time. And whilst there were games that are not worth mentioning much about, like Crystal Palace and Brentford, which was goalless, which actually felt Brentford had more chances in. We've also had our Aston Villa Newcastle 2-0 to Villa. let's have our weekly
Fat Sam Award, is he going to be
weekly Steve Bruce Appreciation Society. Just, I don't even know where to start. And
Did you hear this rant at the end? He was blaming VAR. He was saying, there was no lines last week. There's lines this week. Well, what's that got to do with you not performing and getting the best out of your team?
Yeah, they were poor, abject, perhaps. They missed a few chances. Callum Wilson in particular. But I've got to say that the highlight of the game, and Charlie's nailed it there with his Charlie Bicycle Ings. And that was a goal and a half. It really was. I think we've probably seen goal of the season already. It was, it was quite amazing. I've got to say there's a little bit of a spat on the TV program in the UK last night on Match of the Day, where Danny Murphy, former Liverpool player, was calling out Villa for employing a set piece coach, saying why on earth, and even Lineker shut him down on it. But he was talking such complete nonsense. The goal that Ings scored was because they've employed somebody to set up these set pieces, and the space that he found in that penalty area. Even I think 5 minutes before he'd found there was a corner and he found similar space, and then. But for the goal, he did exactly the same. He kind of ghosted away from the defenders, and Newcastle have got to look at that. Newcastle's defending was really, really shoddy. Not quite as bad as Michael Keane's for Everton, but I'll get to that in a minute. But maybe Newcastle want to sign him in the last week of the transfer window. They're looking at a new centre half, Michael Keane. He's your man. But Ings had already known how he was going to find that space, and it was something you could tell they'd worked on in training. And I know I said last week I was worried about Villa because of the lads on the backroom staff who'd left, but I don't know if Dean Smith seems to have found something here. He's employed someone to do set pieces. It's a massive part of every game and every club. So max out the opportunity to score from a corner, score from a throw-in. It seems bizarre, but for Danny Murphy to start on about that, Steve Bruce is having a good whinge. They've no right to. Villa were well worth 2-0. And the only thing I would give Newcastle in the credit was they actually had 9 shots in the whole game. 1 on target, but they had 9 shots. That's about it. And we just see. We'll see. I was trying to explain to my kids, Newcastle can't afford to sack Bruce, so he's there until they're completely in the proverbial show.
And then Fat Sam will come back into the fold.
You can see it. You really can, unless he gets the Arsenal job first, obviously.
Can't see him getting the Arsenal job. I mean, buddy, I'll tell you what. Go and watch Arsenal fan TV if they ever get Fat Sam.
That's brilliant.
Brilliant to watch.
Can I have a quick mention for? I know we mentioned them very early in the show, but Brighton yesterday were superb for a 2-0 win at home to Watford.
No, another team finishing low. I've got them finishing, I think, in the relegation zone. Yeah. And they've come out of the blocks firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. They were superb, but they play into a system. And, I know we keep coming back to this, but it's the teams that actually believe in the system that are playing that are actually being, they're being successful. And I give Graham Potter his due. He's stuck with it. He's brought Shane Duffy back from Celtic, where he'd had a torrid time at Celtic. Yeah. He was slaughtered by not just by the press, but also by the Celtic fans. But he's put him straight back into the first team, and I've got to say that was such a brave move, because I think everyone in Scotland had them down as being basically washed up and finished. But Potter's put a bit of trust in him, probably patted him on the back and said, "Look, go and show us what you can do." And clean sheet yesterday, and they've got Everton next week. So that's just one of my sort of nightmare scenarios because we got absolutely done over last season by Brighton. So I think they're probably quite looking forward to us turning up next week.
So come on, John, let's get on to Everton's game with Leeds. Michael Keane.
Michael Keane, what on earth was he? I don't know what he was doing. He's now basically been at fault for every goal we've conceded so far this season, which is sad because I think there's a good player in there somewhere. He looked great without fans. He just looks as if he's gone to jelly again, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And
with him.
What's that? I don't know.
Stage right with him.
I don't know.
Maybe he has stage fright.
Yeah.
All the fans there.
I don't know. I don't know, but it was a similar thing with John Stones, wasn't it? And we'll wait and see what type of John Stones returns with Man City, because without fans, Stones has been absolutely superb last season, and I feel that there were there were very, very nervy centre halves, and I think there's something in it. I know Stones has shown his potential on an international stage as well with fans, but Michael Keane just sort of, I don't know. The sooner Ben Godfrey, please, as sooner he's better and he's fit again, he's going straight back into that team.
But other than that, John, Everton played well, really, didn't he? You know, other than that, I was surprised because it's the one game I really did think Leeds would have. I thought Leeds would come and rip us apart because I actually felt that they've got individual players. Calvin Phillips was back yesterday. I like him, but they didn't. And actually, Everton went and became a lot more physical, and were really up for the fight. And Leeds were up for it too. It got a bit niggly, I think, towards the end. So as a result, Everton took Fabian Delph on because he would just he'd cause trouble in an empty house anyway. But Leeds, I like Leeds. I think Bamford's a bit short of match speed at the minute. He's not quite where he was last season. But I'll take a point, and I think a lot of people will take a point from going to Ellen Road this season. The fans there were superb at the start of the game. Again, they had a lot of the ball. They had 70% possession, and I think that goes back to what we spoke about with Rafa. You don't have to have the ball all the time, but you won't lose. No, that's what he'll bring to you, Rafa.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see how long it's been since Leeds have had a crowd at a Premier League game. It's 2004.
Really?
2004. Yeah.
Wow.
That come out today, and I was like, wow, I didn't think it was that long. I didn't think they went down that long ago, but 2004 they went down.
Wow, I didn't realise that either.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
That's something. And I tell you what, again, now we mentioned about Anfield, but Leeds actually paid tribute to a lot of their former players that have passed.
He did, didn't he?
And that was really brilliant to see. And they've lost some wonderful, talented players. You know, from the 70s in particular. I won't name them because I'll miss one of them out, and I don't want to. But I'm glad, again, another lovely bit about having fans back in the ground and having your first home game. And I just felt that what a lovely tribute. It really was. Fabulous tribute.
Definitely. I just want to touch on something else. Just go back to Jurgen Klopp a minute. Right? Because Jurgen Klopp said something in his post-match interview. And I read the interview before I watched the highlights of the game, and I was thinking, well, it sounds like there was a dirty game there, and there was all kinds of 12 studders going on, because you got this new motto, haven't you, coming out of the referees this season, let the game flow, stop having the little niggles, stopping it, stop letting them get away with the diving and all that, don't be giving it. It's to drive that kind of silly behaviour from the players out the game. And then I was hearing Jurgen Klopp, well, we're hearing all this, letting it flow, but, we've got to still protect the players. I was thinking, are they letting it flow to the point where, they're allowing 6 studders going into people's, legs and that? And I didn't see none of that in the highlights anyway. No. So I'm just like, well, hang on a minute. We've got Chelsea next week. Is he playing mind games here? Is he trying to get into the heads of the referees for next week.
I think Solskjaer tried the same this afternoon as well, and just tried to say, oh, is this getting to the stage where it's just like overly physical? But actually, I don't see it. I'm with you, Stephen. I actually like this, and I think it will eradicate those players that are just falling over, with just the slightest of touches. I think there was an opportunity. There were like 9 minutes of the Everton Leeds game, and Leeds were looking for a penalty. They didn't get it. The ball ran free, and I think it caused a little bit of a stramash, I think is the description, as Delph took ball man half the pitch, and basically just cleared the ball. But he took the ball, and it was completely fair. But they're having to go about that, having to go about the penalty. And going back to the first Everton goal of the afternoon, where Calvert-Lewin was pulled back. He went down a little bit theatrically, I would admit, but there was a definite pull on the shirt. But it went to VAR, and actually the referee went and had a look at it. And the refs seem to have a much better handle on how to use VAR. If there's something contentious about to happen, as happened in I think it was the Newcastle game, where the ref had awarded a penalty because Martinez had come and wiped out Callum Wilson. But it was like late the deemed. VAR showed it was offside, which Steve Bruce didn't agree with. But Martinez still got his yellow card because he'd wiped Wilson out.
Yeah,
it works. It's better. Get the ref to go back and look at the screen. Tell him we don't think it's right. Go and look at it. You make your own decision. And the refs seem to have a lot more self-confidence now. Obviously, that's not a good thing when it's Mike Dean we're talking about. But they're now trusting themselves, and that was totally what was missing. And I think it. I can't see. I don't see where Klopp's coming from. I don't see where Solskjaer's coming from. Let's see this, because actually, it brings a bit of the physicality back into the game that's been sadly missing.
Yeah. That's what I just wanted to say. That's what we are missing. We do like a bit of violence in our sport, don't we? We want a little bit of violence. That's why sometimes we go and watch a bit of the rugby or ice hockey, something like that. Because we want to see a bit of violence in there. But football isn't about the violence. Football is I'm not so violence like rugby or American football or ice hockey or anything like that. But a good solid challenge, a good solid crunch. Two fellas running at each other and just crunching into each other for the ball. That's what you want to see. Bring that back, because otherwise we're in danger of going into the European model where it's boring.
Yeah, and it becomes something that is actually just not worth it. It's not, it becomes sterile and just not enjoyable. I still love to watch somebody going and playing football in the way it was intended. And it's I hope we get it back. I hope we get it back, and I think the refs have done a decent job.
I think the refs have learned off the lessons, haven't they, of last season? That's what they're doing. They're learning from the lessons of last season, where they absolutely made an absolute hash of a VAR.
Yeah,
like every week, totally. So hopefully, let's see how it goes. Only 2 games in, they could revert back to type.
Yeah. Just before we finish, we haven't mentioned it yet. Man City 5-0 against Norwich. The only thing that's worth mentioning was the very fact that actually City had 5 different scorers, and Norwich again just hadn't learned past lessons. But fair play to City. You play what's in front of you. They bounced back after last week's little blip. Should we call it a blip?
I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Norwich, though, John, haven't you? They get into the Premier League, and the first 2 games is Liverpool at home and Man City away.
Yeah. I don't think the computer's been very kind to them at all, has it? So
what you've got to look at is that's 2 of the hardest games gone.
Yeah.
And I could have scored that Grealish goal. It's just basically the ball just bounced off him, Yeah. Come on.
Who do you reckon to get your goal for this week? If you could give a goal for this week, I've got 2 contenders. It's obviously Danny Ings and Rafinha's second one against Everton.
Rafinha's was a really good goal, and
Good
he
strike.
he seems to just disappear under the radar of an awful lot of people. You know, Leeds fans absolutely adore him. But even in fantasy football, a lot of people don't seem to pick him up, and I don't know whether he drifts in and out of games. I'm not sure, but he looks a talent and a half, that lad, doesn't he? But yeah, I'm with you, Charlie. That was just that was such a good goal. Technically,
The way it was worked, it was like, and it's great to hear it from the commentator, Ings, because it was Mings.
Yeah.
Ings on swings. No, that was brilliant. Yeah,
No.
I couldn't disagree. I think Danny Ings gets the vote. To be honest with you, he could just get the goal of the season, couldn't he? With that,
I thought it was. I actually felt it was technically it was such a great goal, and it'll be interesting if it doesn't get goal of the season. Is it because it's Danny Ings playing for Villa rather than some big name striker playing for Liverpool, Man United, or Man City? Yeah. I don't know. Be an interesting one.
It's when we come to deal with the goal of the season at the end of the season. All I'm saying is, if that doesn't get goal of the season, we're in for a treat in the future. That's all I'm saying.
Certainly are.
Right. That's it, guys. That's it done.
Yeah.
Another week done. We're not back on next week. I'm away, John's away, and Charlie is unavailable too. So we're not back for another 2 weeks.
And it's a bank holiday weekend in the UK as well. So just count your blessings. You can have a week off for good behaviour. We're back the first Sunday in September.
Definitely. Just as the schools go back in as well. Right. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching.